Yeah, with the what's its name? The
Right.
dungeon.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Um, what were they thinking of in first of all?
Yeah,
But
yeah, to be honest with you, I have no fucking clue.
like,
Like,
what
like,
dumbass decision?
honestly, whoever wrote that script, like, I'm not sure if the guy that read it off misread it, or, like, they just didn't write it properly, but they should have definitely made it more clear, because that was just a blunder. 'Cause just think about how much more positive it would have been if, they never had to do this.
I mean, it still wouldn't have been well received one dungeon every 3 weeks.
No, I mean, that's no, that's how it was, everyone, perceived it as.
No,
Yeah.
that's what it was that people had problems was one dungeon every 3 weeks.
No, no, I said one dungeon every week, you said.
Yeah, no, I said I meant to say, apologies if I didn't. I meant to say one dungeon every 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was fucked up. Like, it's because
Yeah,
everyone the common consensus based on the way they worded it was that it was a dungeon every week.
yeah. It's like, hey, look, we're doing this cool Pantheon thing that's about a third of the size of the content that that we're doing. Do we push it out to release it in the just at the last bit, or do we try to extend the amount of content that we make? Nah, Tim, release it at the same time and make it last the same time by time gating it all. Brilliant, Mark.
Yeah. Even though I still think 2 weeks is it should still be one, I understand too, because just in case someone isn't available, but still wish it was whatever.
Which could be like what Pantheon was 111, and then all of it available up until the end.
Well, that's what they're doing. It's 222. Everything's available. Each one is gonna have an extra
Two
loot
two
week.
two. I think it should have been 111.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it should
Pantheon
have been
was
one.
111.
Yeah. Well, Pantheon was also 111. There's five Pantheons.
5 or 6 silhouettes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So like, I mean, I would understand if they wanted to like still spam it over like a month and a half. So like, I guess that's okay-ish, but
Mm, yeah,
but yeah, the way they worded it in the live stream was definitely a blunder on their end.
yeah. Yeah, no, it just seems to me, and I know that I'm very, very unengaged with the game, like never been more disengaged with the game now. But yeah, this one seems like a blunder. Like it took like all of the cool bits of Pantheon and then didn't bother to recreate any of it. Um, like sure they added new mechanics and that sort of thing, which is all good, and timers, which are all good, and everything like that. Which was good. They definitely improved on that. But then they picked arguably what some people would say three of the worst dungeons to do. I know the PvE people don't like the loot from Prophecy. Prophecy is personally my favourite. Um, and I think everybody's in agreement that Ghosts and Spire are both terrible from a gameplay perspective.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's just the sheer fact that like none of the weapons really have like insane rolls on them.
Yep.
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie. After like completely saying fuck off to Spire Sirdom, and after using it, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it. But
I mean, it was always a good weapon.
was it?
Liminal Vigil, yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of the better sidearms that was a primary. The
Oh, okay.
problem is that primaries have been legendary primaries have been long, long out irrelevant in the game.
Yeah.
Like I would say they were borderline irrelevant in the game back when that side actually they were because nobody talked about that sidearm. Um,
Yeah. The only thing people talked about was
Water Flight. No, that's not its name.
no
Yes, it
Wilder.
is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wilder Flight.
yeah, the GL, and I mean even that
Yeah.
took a while to become popular.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's because it
And I
wasn't
mean,
until people realized you could do damage with it.
yeah, and I mean Ghosts is an SMG that's nobody's gonna. Oh no, the rocket could be good as well, couldn't it?
Uh,
Will it?
what's the fucking
I
Haywire
thought
say about it?
I heard it
Even
was
though it
just the SMG and the pointy stick that people
wanted,
were keen on for Ghosts.
let's see. Yeah. Oh, the where's her? Ah, that's what it's cold comfort at this point. It's because the head Hazen's vengeance is just better than it.
Yeah, okay. So it is just the pointy stick and the SMG, and who's going to use the SMG, and who uses pointy sticks? Like that SMG is just going to suffer from the issue of every other legendary primary in the game. It don't do enough damage and it doesn't do enough stuff. Like, why would you use why would you use that over something like Necrochasm that probably does double the damage? Um,
Oh, actually, yeah. But then also, yeah, then actually, Sudden Death from Prophecy, because it gets 1-2 punch trench and then Discord as well in the left column.
oh yeah, some of the prophecy weapons are good, and they have a lot of them are viable in SMG in PvP as well. So that will at least get a small subset of the community excited about.
Yeah. But honestly,
Um,
the thing is, like, obviously, they're going to be sharing more about Edge of Fate over the next few weeks. I
mhm.
don't think until that gets shared, there's going to be a lot of hype. Like, I think because they subsequently like the weapons because they've kind of only
Yeah,
been baseline about the weapon system and very baseline about the armor, and they said they're going to be talking about that over the next few weeks in TOBS.
yeah,
I don't think people really are going to farm stuff until that becomes they come out and talk about that.
yeah.
Because again, like I said, I'm optimistic because it looks like that it definitely is it it kind of seems like a soft reset as opposed to making a D3, which I would rather them do that than make a D3 because I don't think that I don't think a D3 would go over very well. Um,
I still think the issue is if you look at Steam, Destiny through Steam,
yeah, I mean the player count's still low.
still fucking low. 24,000 for the last couple of days, 22,000 for April. Minor peak for whatever this was. Was it Ride of the Night? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Um, that's that's not a healthy game.
Well, it again because it's again the thing of there's not a whole lot of reason to play it if you don't know what's coming. And even though they showed off what was coming, they
Yeah,
we still don't know what kinda that entails. So I don't think that's why people are
yeah.
coming back. I mean, the only real number it's that's going to be prudent to judge off of is going to be. Oh fuck! Did I die with the Tashanka? Fuck. Would be the numbers for Edge of Fate.
Um, Yeah. Um, but I mean, it always runs the issue. You let something die slash get close to death is bringing it back's always the challenge.
Yeah.
Like I know I always say I'm on the borderline of not buying it, just like what we always make the joke of this is make or break sort of thing. But there's gonna have to be some shockingly big overhauls and cool content for me to cough up $100, $100 it is,
Yeah.
to buy this and play this. And I mean, from what we've seen at least, and been not rumored, but whatever, teased, I guess you could say is the right word.
Edge.
And there's not edged. There's nothing there that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because like even though the reveal stream was, oh, what the fuck, um, like showed off, like kind of showed off what they're planning on doing. It still
Mhm.
didn't really, kind of didn't really. It was kind of just a real baseline overview and didn't really go into
Yeah,
details.
yeah. But I mean, you know me, I'm looking for major systemic overhauls sort of
Yeah,
thing across the board,
which
or at least
which
indications that they're coming. And I mean, our Disarmor 4.0 doesn't necessarily feel like it. And if some people like it, cool, but it's not for me
yeah.
personally.
Well, they talked about like core playlist updates and stuff, but the thing is, they didn't show any of it. Like
Mm,
that's my main issue. That was my main issue with the live stream, is that they talked about a lot of stuff, but they just never kind of
yeah,
showed it. There's like, yeah, it was just like the what's it called, the marathon reveal stream. They or gameplay sorry, the gameplay reveal. All they did was just sit there and talk. Like they didn't
yeah,
show anything.
yeah,
So although like I said, hopefully they show. I bought the collector's edition regardless, so
yeah. Um,
I bought the collector's edition last year for Lightfall, or sorry, Final Shape,
if you could have gotten it,
it was fucking sold out.
yeah. Um,
But yeah, no, the biggest issue I think is just that they've been very hesitant to show, and all they've really done is tell, and they
yeah,
haven't really told that much. But we'll find out.
yeah. Um, but yeah, no, like the core stuff is where most people spend majority of the game,
Yeah, which
in
like
my opinion, and that they want. Like I think they've done well with making gear available in outside of the seasonal content, i.e., it's not go and grind the seasonal content until your eyes bleed to
yeah,
do it.
because
It's here you can do stuff like the tonics. That's a good change, but it's like do stuff with the tonics to do what? Get that gear to do what so that you can run strikes more effectively. That's my issue.
yeah, no, like and it like I said, because they said that there's gonna be like core playlist updates. Uh, Again, it's just like we know like nothing about the expansion or what's really coming. We kind of just know like baseline stuff. So that's my issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's
Yeah,
well, and then once they reveal that, then it'll be hopefully better. But
yeah,
like that's just my thing with it. It's just they like it's cool that we kind of know what the next year is. Actually, do I have anything on Wood specifically? What the next year is kind of roughly about.
yeah,
But like for example, there's like, oh yeah, the Plague Lands is coming back in September, and then they just they just didn't elaborate.
yeah.
Like I saw that, I'm like, excuse me.
Mm. But I mean, it's like, why is it? I get that it's
Yeah,
coming back,
exactly.
sort of
But
thing. It's like, why is it coming back? It was like the Cosmodrome that came back. It's like, yeah, we do this for a terrible, terrible quest for new light players, and it's like, cool. What else are you doing with it?
yeah,
Thing. Give us a reason to go into it, sure.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, no, I'm still on the D3 band, not the bandwagon, but I'm still on the belief that D3 is required. Like right now, there's just too much stuff that needs to be done to the game that the current resources I don't think can support.
because I mean, like realistically, the only thing a D3 would do is because it's not like there's gonna be a there. It's not they're gonna not gonna move it over and it's like, oh, there's this huge engine upgrade, like because with marathons, like, oh yeah, marathon's the update engine. It doesn't really show like there's really no benefit to it unless like they can on their end
Yeah.
for the content like updates
You,
wise, but like
you play enough games though to know how bad the Destiny engine, and I didn't play Marathon, but I've heard that it doesn't feel great. Um, you know how bad the Destiny engine is in comparison to other game engines to know that it needs a massive reboot.
yeah, and then but that's the thing, if that ever happens, then I guess I could see a D3 happening, but I don't think they would do it.
Yeah, I guess it's the.
Like,
I guess it's
because
the.
like I think at this point what they're going for is the MMO approach, or like for example, WoW, Final Fantasy, like it's been the same game for 20 plus year. Well, WoW's 20 plus years. Final Fantasy is like 7,
Yeah,
14, I think.
but I
When
mean,
did it come out?
the player base numbers are just so different. Like WoW's got the subscription
Yeah.
to it, and they've got 6-digit, if not 7-digit player bases,
Oh,
60,000 concurrent players,
200,
i.e., across
2010.
console.
Oh wait, that's never mind. That's the actual.
Even if you say 100,000 players are buying the expansion, that's not a lot of money coming in to support a full ass studio because they've got separate funding for Marathon as well as the Destiny funding. But that funding, once Marathon releases, will disappear and they'll be on their own again at, until they work on a new project to do that. Like that's just how project funding works.
Yeah, but the entire thing is also Final Fantasy's been out for like 10 years and they've had like one major engine update. Um,
Mm.
but the
Different sort of game though.
yeah, I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like I would argue for an MMO, an engine change is way more massive than, or actually I don't think it was a change. I think it was an upgrade. Whatever. Um, but it's still doable within the same game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But I don't know how they do it for Destiny.
I think it's doable for Destiny. It was just so pretty much. I mean, it's doable, but if for that to actually happen, what they would need to do is just like make a set plan and stick to it, and be like, hey,
Yes.
this is what we're keeping. This is gonna be the new experience, and then go from there. Um, but yeah.
And I mean, you know that me and Connor argue about this one a lot. That was what was promised with Beyond Light. Hey, we're taking 80% of your game so that we can do all of this. And then it's like 18 months later, well, what did you do? Fucking nothing. Can't enjoy it.
No,
Um,
I mean, so
the release
the
schedule never changed. The quality of content never changed. The only thing that changed was how much was in the game.
yes, I mean the issue with the Beyond Light change is that since they said it was primarily back end stuff, like I mean they could be lying about, but also could just be the fact that like they noticed some stuff is becoming problematic. Which if it was, they probably should have just said it, but If they didn't, I mean, but yeah. No, honestly, at this point, I think because it looks like for Edge of Fate, they're trying to streamline a lot of stuff.
Mm.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I think this, because especially going into a new saga, as they put it, I don't think
Yeah.
a Destiny 3 is going to ever happen.
No, neither do I. I don't think they've got the funding for it.
I mean, not even funding, because like the entire thing about it is that if it's pretty much they have like a few different options for engines. It's the main engine is kind of like, hey, the main for main engines is kind of, hey, you handle your own in-house one, which is
Yeah.
a majority of major game studios, or
Yeah.
you license out like Unreal Engine or Unity, um,
Yeah.
which those come with
I
another subset of problems as well. Like
I know, but
there's no end all be all for engines, but having a
there's
proprietary in-house one is better in terms of being able to control what happens with it.
I don't necessarily feel like they're in control of it. They don't have decent development cycle turnarounds. Um, they don't have reliability with it. Um, there's many things that they don't have with it.
Yeah, but the real question is how much worse would that possibly be on Unreal Engine? Because
I
that
genuinely don't know.
because that's the entire thing with like Unreal Engine and well so UE5 in particular. It's like, oh yeah, it's look, we're making this game. It looks great. But the thing is with Unreal Engine 5, it may look great, but if you don't know how to use the engine to optimize it properly,
Yeah,
then
I guess just
you're stuck with a fucking game that runs like shit. It looks great just because of Unreal Engine's um inherent graphics, but it's better if a company knows how to use their own engine, and if they need to make changes to it, make changes than licensing one out.
yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but I wouldn't necessarily say they know how to use it. Like they're a large subsect of the player population, not anymore because they don't play the game. That can't play the game. Like it's not just. And I know that this is an American company that refuses to look outside of America for networking and solutions and stuff like that. They would much rather not play the game. But I mean, like you look at the raid and stuff like that. You remember when everybody was soloing it, and it's like, oh yeah, let VPN into fucking Lithuania or something like that, and the encounters just break. You input a certain amount of lag into it, and the game just breaks. At the moment, they've made it so that PvP is completely unplayable outside of NA. Like there's not the player base is so subsected across the board that it's unplayable. They refuse slash can't do anything about cheaters. Um, I wouldn't say that that is in control of an in-house engine.
I would.
And I mean,
Good.
sure, if they want to make their player base just America, then fine, go for it. But
Yeah,
that's a
no.
choice.
So I mean,
That's a small pool of
che-
customers you're pulling from.
cheating is primarily has to do with engine and the source code
Yeah,
because there's the network part, which is just network manipulation. That's something else. The reason that's an issue in Destiny is because it's peer-to-peer and not dedicated servers. Even though
yeah,
dedicated servers, it still happens a lot in. But just like, for example, Escape from Tarkov, perfect example. They don't have an in-house engine. They use Unity, and they have one of the worst cheating problems in all of gaming.
yeah. I'm
Like,
not saying that Bungie can solve the cheaters, but it is at the moment. We tried something 3 and a bit years ago with Battle Eye, and then we've done nothing since.
but that's also not. What the fuck? That's also not inherently just a Bungie issue right now. That's a literally any game company issue. Like any
Yeah,
game that it's worth to cheat in, the cheating problem is just atrocious. Like
yeah.
especially like you look at COD, but like you look at COD and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's also
There's
just
massive cheater. There's massive cheater problems, and I'm not describing that, but I more mean, um, can I play a game that is, can I get into a match? So first of all, can I get into a match? And for large subsects of the population, i.e. non-NA, the answer is just no. Like I can't get into a full sixes match, like 6v6. I will either A, get error coded out of the lobby, or B, it will start 4v4 or 5v5, and then one or two people will leave because it's boring.
I mean
And
that's
it will
kind of
not backfill.
that's kind of NA as well. When I tried playing like a week or two ago.
I mean, if it's NA as well, then Jesus fuck me. Um,
Like yeah, no, like that
that's a
issue.
core problem that needs to be addressed. Like that
Yeah,
is not something that you can live with. Like like a large portion of people can't find a Gambit game. I can't find fucking strikes at some point. I
so
found dollar for every
to be
time
honest
I'm
with you,
like set up the strike playlist.
I think at this point Gambit is just Gambit's dead. Like because
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say.
I was gonna say like even like uh even like in the Edge of Fate reveal stream, you saw they showed off like the new interface, and everyone's like, "Wait, where's Gambit?" And then they just didn't
Yeah,
comment on it. I'm just like, "Yeah, I think you know the answer to this."
yeah. But I mean, yes, like completely agree with you for Gambit. But I mean, I look at raids. I've just flipped over to the D2 Discord, and
Well,
it
like,
is dead
yeah, because
for Salvation's Edge.
yeah. So Salvation's Edge, it's because people, it's everyone that
Haunted
wanted stuff,
Blast is just dead.
everyone that wants stuff from Salvation's Edge already got everything they needed. Um, And then on top of that, people don't want to teach it because people are stupid and can't follow
Yeah.
instructions. Um, but also, again, that leads to the other thing. Why do a raid when you don't know what's coming? Like that was then again. This it was the same issue going into Rise of Iron. Like they put Rise of Iron out because they need more time from Destiny 2, and then
Mhm.
just it's just no one knew what was coming, so it was a lower player count.
But there's a difference. Like I remember always with Rise of Iron, I could head onto the LFG subreddit, which has now been, of course, replaced by the Discord and everything like that. That you could go into and eventually you could find players to do that stuff. You can't. My my point is in regards to this is it's all
So
well and good saying that you're going to do stuff to the game, but you've got to bring players back because this isn't a survivable player population.
so the other thing about that is Rise of Iron didn't have weapon crafting as well. So if you want to roll in a certain weapon, you still have to play the raid multiple times to get it.
Yeah.
Which is one of the, because like pretty much that's one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't doing Salvation's Edge at this point and all the raids that have weapon crafting. Because Salvation's
Mhm.
Edge came out essentially at this point a year ago. Um and all you need was really those what I think 25, 30 patterns. And you got one
Yeah.
for each week. You got two each week, sorry, I think. At least. Or I don't know, whatever. Well, you got two each week once challenge came out. So yeah, by this point, and that's negating random drops and farming. Yeah, but it's I think that's another reason why it's just weapon crafting, which I think in hindsight's like okay idea, but I don't.
None of this, though, addresses the problem like what, say, I face at the moment, or like you look at like your big content creators and that sort of thing, like Lad and people. people like that
Well, Glass is
when
2
they
now.
talk about. Yeah,
Glass hasn't
but
played
what brings
Destiny
them
in years.
back? Or how are you increasing the player base? Or are you happy with 60,000 purchases of it? Because your studio ain't going to be a lot. You're an indie. You're less than an indie studio at that stage. If that's your annual revenue, there are indie studios that would turn over more than 10 million a year.
Let's see.
That's 10 million AUD as well, I'd like to point out. So it's 6 million USD. Because, yeah, I mean, you go from, if you triple and then add on a bit, you go from 500,000 purchasing Lightfall. You could probably arguably say the same, even though we know it was less for Final Shape. But even if we call it that, 500,000 times 60, that's $30 million for your income, give or take, down to 6 million. Are you culling 80% of your staff?
Guess what they already did?
Not 80%, they didn't.
I think it's about 60 they did. Like all of the layoffs, all the layoffs over the past 2 years. It's been like, it's a high row. Like they fired a lot of people.
They fired a lot of people, but 80, and I mean that's not even reducing your other costs like your fixed costs, like reducing your floor space in your buildings, your distribution fees have all got to come down by that, or you've got to make cuts elsewhere. Like I just don't see how they can continue as a studio producing games unless they do something about the player base. Whether it's new players or returning players, they cannot only sell 100,000 copies of the next major expansion.
But
If that is, in my opinion, what they are on track to sell.
I don't think so. I think maybe 100,000 on maybe Steam, but like consoles are gonna be more.
So you're telling me the average player over the last, since September, when, let's face it, everyone went soft for it, is around that 25 to 30,000 player mark.
Yeah.
You're telling me
Again, that's
that
also
they're,
concurrent. Like, there's different
yeah,
time
good
zones
point,
and
good
stuff
point, good point,
that
yeah.
do play the game, so it fluctuates. Like, it having that as a hard number is kind of just not accurate in the sense because stuff like cool, like
Yeah, no, fair point.
a
I
hundred
get
thousand
you.
people can buy it, and then just like that, not everyone plays at the same time. Because how many copies did they sell for Final Shape?
Yeah, I'm doing this at the moment. I'm doing it on Lightfall because I couldn't be bothered typing in the Final Shape versus Lightfall. Because at the end of the day, it's all pro-raterable.
I mean, to be honest with you, I actually do think Lightfall sold better as well.
It did. We know it did. 8759119, $30. That divided by
Don't do the math
that.
conversion. Just do that. How many units sold?
Well, I didn't have that. It sold
Oh,
300,000 units on Steam, approximately, if
300.
I'm reading this.
It would have to be more than that because the max concurrent players was like 316.
Steam. And
Yeah,
no, the max concurrent players in February 23 when it released, or March when the raid release was 135 on Steam.
no, Lightfall broke the current player count though when it came out.
Actually, that's concurrent. Yes, it did. No, it didn't.
Yeah,
More players when Shadowkeep, but more
no, it
active
wasn't.
players.
What chart?
Concurrent players? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking at the Steam chart, dude.
Uh,
135,000 in March 2023 for peak concur or average players. Peak players was the highest, yes. Concurrent players in October 19 was 165,000.
peak peak players in was 316.
2016 in February, yes, I did say that that was slightly higher, yes, than what was the one in October 2019? Shadowkeep.
Yeah, February 20. Yeah, yeah. So that February, the February, January, those numbers are for whatever, for Lightfall. But what are you looking at? Because yeah, because the 29th October 2019 is 195. That's when Shadowkeep came out. That's not even close. So why?
292 on the Steam chart.
Yeah, why? So why are you looking at Shadowkeep?
Because I was just scrolling down to say where you said it was the highest ever peak players
Yeah, it
or
was Lightfall.
concurrent players. Yes, slightly.
The fuck do you mean? How the fuck is 300,000 slightly above 190?
290
290.
in October.
Wait. Hold up.
October 2019, 292 is what that number is there.
October 9th is 195.
No, that's November.
No,
Do you all have different months over there?
no, do you?
Check your Discord messages. You can see there very clearly on my Steam chart. It is saying October 2019, 292,000 peak players. Because I will give you 316 is significantly more, almost double 195, but it's 5% more than 292.
What the fuck? Okay, whatever. The chart at the top's not wasn't showing. Huh? Wait. No, then the September one. I'm fucking not using that 1 second. I'm checking Steam DB. This shit's more accurate.
That's oh no, I'm on steamcharts.com.
Yeah, I was just saying Steam charts. Steam charts. Like I see what you're saying, but it's showing different numbers in like 3 different spots.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna check Steam D because Steam charts has been fucked. All right, let's look at this. Charts. All right, max. All right, so release. Okay, yeah, release. It's showing 292 in October. Witch Queen
Yep.
is 290, and then 316. Yeah, and then 314.
Because I'm trying to find out whether there's a net number because the numbers that I'm seeing from a website called Steam Revenue Calculator
Yeah,
doesn't seem right.
that's all. That's I just looked up. That's definitely not right.
Yeah,
Like
like the fact
gross
that it is
revenues
giving,
9 mil. That's not right.
and I mean that's 300,000 copies, but the net revenue of 2.6 million, which even if you quadruple that to say it sold better on consoles of 10 million, that's not keeping a studio afloat. Actually, it might because of their external funding. But I mean, if the peak players was 316,000 or whatever it was that we said,
Yeah.
To say that it only sold 292,000 is what my math says
Is
is
not right.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Correct. That math doesn't add up.
Because again, Destiny's like a quote unquote free to play game, but also at the same time, those numbers being on launch means people are logging into play.
Yeah, yeah. When was this article written? February 26, 2024. When did Final Shape release? June 24. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So this here says that Lightfall has about 2.25 million pre-orders, which sounds right to me.
Yeah. Because then also the thing is you would have to average that out for people that bought the collector's edition and people that bought different editions of the game and not just the base Lightfall. Because the price varies a significant amount.
Uh-huh. Of course.
Because even so, it'd be like what 40, 100, 40 USD, 100 USD, and like 250 for the different editions.
Yeah.
And then you saw what 2.2 million.
2.25, yeah.
Yeah, that's like that's
That's
copies.
25 million plus revenue, which sounds more right to
Yeah,
me.
that sounds a little bit more
To,
accurate.
to Bungie sort of thing, assuming that they get, because I definitely agree with that Steam revenue calculator, the discounts, the
That's
refunds, the
fucking
Steam cut, the VAT, everything like that would knock out 2/3 of your revenue
yeah.
that you would lose to that
I
sort
mean,
of
but
thing.
that also the fact that they're saying the gross revenue is 8 mil, like that makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause-
Well, no, it just didn't pass the test that it was accurate.
yeah,
Um,
because what you said, so two. Fuck.
when was it? February 23 for Lightfall. I guess
So like
like back
so
to
yeah, so like if for like two and a quarter million, 2 point like so like 2.25 million copies sold, if you averaged everything around $75, with like just for the variants and different copies, it's 168 mil.
yeah, and gross revenue, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, but they lose to a bit more than 3/4 of that to distribution fees, taxes, everything like that. The Steam cuts, the PlayStation Store cuts, and Microsoft Store cuts, which are brutal.
yeah. But then
Um,
you see that still leaves them with like 120 mil roughly.
yeah. Wait, sorry, go again. What was your first number that you said?
Fuck, I just closed my calculator out. God damn it. I think it was like 190 something.
190. That 190 comes down to about 35 revenue that they
Y-
receive. 45. Call it 45.
yeah, I'll say because like I just divided by three and the a third of that would be 56 mil. So then
Yep,
it would be
50.
like
Call it 50, yeah.
it would be like they would still be making roughly 120 mil.
Where's
And
the 120 from? Where are you getting that?
so you said it was
I
rough.
agree with your 50. I agree with your 56. I'm not sure how you're jumping from 56 up to
Okay.
120.
So you said two and a quarter million copies were pre-ordered, right?
Yep.
All right. So if you times that, just a number I'm thinking of average because the game I think was 40 USD. If you times
Mhm.
that by roughly, if you say 75 is kind of the mean accounting for all the different variances,
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yep. Let's go high. Let's go high. Yeah.
you get one 168 million,
Yep.
and then
And
you divide that, or well, you can times it by I guess what point in your case 0.66, but
25.25
you
because
want
they're
to do
only.
You want to do a quarter?
Based on what that Steam calculator says, which I wouldn't disagree
Yeah.
with taxes and I know because that's got a huge amount of refunds. Yeah, go divide it by 3, go
Yeah.
33% because
So
not
if
all of
if
that.
you divide
It
by
was only
three,
like all that was
it
refunded.
yeah, if you divide it by 3, you get like 56
Yep,
million.
agree. That
So
they receive. Yep.
yeah. So 168 minus 56, it's between 110 and 120.
No, 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 no. They don't pay a third in taxes and distribution fees. They pay 2/3 in taxes and
Ah.
distribution fees.
Ah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Uh so for the distribution fees, I would agree with you for the issue with that being that they're at that point they were doing everything themselves, and the Steam cut is roughly for larger dealings about 30%.
Yep.
So
30%. And then what's your average sales tax? Your average sales tax is going to be between 10 and 20% if you split the middle at
no,
15.
no, that's not average sales tax. Like in New Jersey, we have a 7% sales tax, and that's like one of the highest.
Well, that's 12.5 in the EU and 10 here.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Why, that
But
was
also
literally the basis of
here's the thing
the
as well.
argument that me and Connor were chatting about and arguing about the other week.
So the thing is for you, that would be if you convert if you adjust for currency exchange, that sales tax is more akin to like 7% here. Now the EU, on the other hand, I will agree, since the euro is roughly about the same. That is insane. Is that really the case?
Yeah. Um,
That's fucking
yeah.
insane if that's the case.
Yeah, I believe it's 12.5% in the EU.
Euro area is 28% by the end of holy shit. Does the Euro
Hence
sex?
why I'm saying they receive a third, like my maths is sound. Yep. Yeah.
No,
Between 50 is 15
15%.
15%. Yep. Sorry, 12 and
What?
a half was when I was over there. Um,
Dude, that's
6 years
fucking
ago.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you straight up have Switzerland is not part of the EU and has I would still say high, but somewhat normal sales tax of 8%.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But I mean,
yeah.
it's like Switzerland's like Monaco sort of thing. They've got other sources of
Yeah,
income where they've
well,
got
yeah,
their
well, it's
where they've got their
you know
government
what,
up by.
when you kind of run the run the world's somewhat questionable banking, you can
Mm-hmm.
get money however you want,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I I still won't say a third. I would say I'd go as high as a half,
Yeah, okay.
because
So
again,
what are we on? About 70 or 80 million.
yeah, because I don't know how much the Steam marketplace is, but considering how, I would also assume that the Sony cut wasn't massive, since when it was, because the deal with Sony is probably been going on for a while. So I don't.
That'd still take that cut though, because people at Sony wouldn't have known that, and that would appear through numbers. So I would say that Sony took full cut up until the sale was made. Um,
But
you don't play shenanigans around. You don't play shenanigans around with that because it sticks out in financial results, and
yeah,
then
that's fair.
that's as good as it. That's as good as announcing it. Um,
Yeah,
but my point of that, let's say it's 80 million. Let's say 80 million for easy maths. My point is back to what I was originally saying. We look at Lightfall, the numbers, the average player numbers, and the peak numbers, and everything like that. The average players, using that as the number, is sitting around on Steam between 70 and 80,000 in the lead up to Lightfall.
yeah. Well, also
At
the
the
other thing.
moment, it's 20,000. Even if you say it's as high as a third, I would say indicative they're going to receive a third of the sales maybe if you give it half the sales, that's a 50% decline in revenue that they've got to eat.
So the thing about that as well is, what was I gonna say? I think the caffeine's finally starting to catch up to me. One sec, I gotta drink more. Oh, the other thing is silver sales as well, which is not really tracked, but considering how Destiny, prior to this, Destiny 2 was constantly in the top sellers, was probably pretty high.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
So that's something we can take into account. But if
we have no indication of
Yeah.
what that's like. There's nothing to track that
Exactly.
in game, like the pre-orders or something. Yeah, I'll give you there's a bit more, whether it's double or something
let's see.
something
90,
like that. But
80, 60, and then that's Lightfall. Oh wait, no, that's that is Lightfall. And then drops it 40 into the light, and that. So the yeah, to be honest with, because 60K. So currently, if we're basing off the chart, if you look at the chart right now for 60K in the last 30 days is the peak. And you go back to...
I don't think you can take peak. I think you got to take average.
That the thing is, the Steam charts always takes peak for the month.
Well, take peak and we take peak and account for that. Yeah, that's I get your logic. Yeah.
There's no other way to check, because like all the charts and like all the data, everything's in peak. Like it's not average.
Yep. No,
so all the numbers we're basing this off of, bro, is peak.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So peak for, you go back to February 2024, is 46,000.
February 24?
Yeah.
No, we're talking February 23. You're a year out.
What the
Because we're talking Lightfall,
are we high?
don't forget.
No, I'm saying as opposed to, okay, so if we, wait, Lightfall, no, so I'm not talking about Lightfall right now. I'm talking about like as a bounce back of players.
Okay.
Like because you said how a player would have, the player count would have to bounce back. Like, for example, February 2024, 46,000 players is a peak. And then goes to 75,000, which I think that's when they start to announce Into the Light stuff? Or tease it at least?
Yeah, Into the Light, I reckon, released in April. Yeah, Into the Light would have released in April.
Yeah.
So in March they started to announce it.
Which is which has to be why that player number jumped up.
Yeah.
And then it rocketed back up. Now we're at peak right now, May 2025, 60,000. Obviously, Right of the 9 hasn't peaked up that high. But I mean, I think that has something to do more with the content. Being not. So I mean, I think for Right of the 9, I think if there's gonna be a huge blow up in players, it's gonna be once all the dungeons get released and people can farm them whenever they want. So we probably, if that happens, it probably won't be for like another month. But I still think it has the chance of hitting, peaking at like 200, 300,000 concurrent players.
I will eat my hat if we ever see 300,000 peak players again on Steam. Absolutely eat my hat.
Because again, like,
mark my words. Chat, clip that.
All right, one sec. All right, that's gonna be a clean clip. That's gonna get. I will edit that, post it on YouTube, and and pin it.
Yep, 300,000 peak players. I was going to say concurrent, but no, peak players is what we're talking about on Steam.
Yeah, it's because again, like, because that's quite literally all the numbers we have to go off of. Like, it doesn't show average; it only shows peak.
You see, my opinion though on that is we're not going to see that. And I know once again, small sample size versus representation. I think here in this particular Discord of what do we call it, 50 people?
Yeah.
Call it 50 people. I think at a bit more than that. I know because that's got bot. No, it doesn't because they're online bots. 60 or 70 people 80 people in this Discord who at one stage purchased Destiny expansions. I reckon that this purchase rate in this Discord would be almost as low as 6. You White
So
Haywire,
yeah,
Mage, Dongus, Silver. I don't plan on playing. I'd be shocked if Beast bought it. And name me someone else here who's going to buy it.
I mean, but the issue with that is that a lot of Micho will probably buy it out because Micho still plays.
Pocket Smart as well. He still plays a little bit. Okay.
So pretty much I would disregard anyone that doesn't have time zone next to their name.
Yep.
Disregard. I mean, realistically, a lot of these people never really played. But that's also the thing that's kind of hard. I can to tell because like 90% of the people I don't think we've ever talked to in voice chat because they kind of just joined the clan and just never joined.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that's the best
even if
representation.
Say you drop out and once again talking, Final Shape or Lightfall either. You had me, you had Beast, you had Spirit, you had Dad, you had Trooper, you had a bunch of these players purchasing this.
Well, no, hold up. Dad hasn't played video games in like 3 years.
Dad purchased it.
Did he? I don't think he did.
Yeah.
He hasn't played.
He's been playing that Expedition 33 ever since he did buy it. Spirit bought it. Trooper bought it. Who else did I say? Beast bought it. TK bought it. TK will buy it. I'll put money on that. TK absolutely.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Sorry, that was rude.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is, I think TK only bought it because if he wasn't gonna do the day one raid, I don't think he will have bought it.
Yeah, but what I mean though is that let's just keep it to the people that we know and say there's 15 of us or so. I think that 6 out of 12, I'll give you, which is back to my point of I think that the player base is only going to bounce back to 50% to what it was at any point in time. At the height is so many of us, 6 of us, have stopped playing the game, and we know for a fact, they've religiously spoken about this, and just from the reviews and things like that, there is no new player intake of the game because the new player experience is so horrifically poor. Is that even if people buy the game, they refund it, sort of thing. 6 of us dropping out hasn't been replaced by 6 returning or new players. They're just 6 players less. And I think that ratio is representative of the game as a whole.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I think they would have at least accounted for that to a certain degree because the final shape was kind of like or at least I hope they account for it. But the final shape's also kind of just a jumping off point to where it's the end of a saga. So they would have to be stupid not to expect some people to stop playing the game after that point. Because some people,
did they expect 50? I think it's 50%, and whether we say it's 33% or 50%, I refuse to believe it's less than 33%. A third.
I think they might have thought. I think they probably did from the unless they're completely blind and stupid, which I mean could be the case. I think it would be kind of
this is Bungie.
yeah. So it could be, but I think it would be poor vision to think it's anything else because again, it's the end.
Perfect.
It's the end of a major saga.
This is coming from my business background rather than my gamer background and stuff like that. I've unfortunately seen across various industries and stuff like that is numbers getting fudged, like what we know that they were with the play account when they sold it to Sony and the upcoming revenue and
Oh yeah,
everything
no,
like that. Is
100%. Yes,
all of
yeah,
these decisions made by Pete Parsons and that the C-suite team would have been all short-term decisions to
exactly.
get that
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
get that sale across the line. So to say they accounted for that, maybe internally they might have, but externally they absolutely wouldn't have. And let's face it, it's the new
But
owners
see,
since then.
so yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, I think so. Like, I think even if they didn't account, if they didn't tell Sony that they were accounting for it, I think Sony at least, I at least again, I think Sony would at least have a rough idea of that they're going to lose players since it's the end of a major saga. Now the entire thing is they've said that this is the beginning of a new saga. Is again they mentioned about streamlining stuff. It comes down to how the stuff is streamlined, and they haven't showed
Yeah,
that yet. But it comes down to when
yeah,
they show that realistically.
yeah, yeah. Um, you're right. And I doubt though that Sony would have known like transactions like that are done at terms arm's length, I'm pretty sure, where you get a very short period of time to look through the files, and those files are the review of those files is monitored by people. You go in and they say, here's the room with every information, with all the information that you have. Pick 5 people. You get an hour in that room today. You get an hour in that room next week. That's it. What you can find out is all that you can do, because if you have everyone digging through all of your files and your dirty secrets, then they're just going to always lowball you, and it's not going to be an open and honest process.
Yeah,
So that's what I've always seen with mergers and acquisitions like that. You don't get full knowledge of that, and you can plant. There is nothing to prevent you from planting false information in those files, because at the end of the day, if the deal goes through, there's no one to sue at the end of the day for lying, because you're suing yourself.
yeah. No, I mean, but
Which,
that's yeah.
which I think Punchy would have done.
Yeah, no, I think because like getting 3.6 billion is insane. Well, I think
Yeah, fucking genius. Well done to Pete Parsons.
yeah. Um,
Insane effort. Brilliant businessman.
but that's the thing about it's just the fact that Sony kind of once they acquired them kind of started cleaning like house like hey, we're canning these pretty much every other project besides Marathon and Destiny because why the fuck you guys trying to make 5 games
Yeah.
with the revenue of one? Um so yeah, I because honestly I think they kind of Sony kind of told Bungie's like, hey, you gotta get your you need to get some goodwill with your player base back because the fuck's going on. Because they definitely bomb for Destiny, like and to keep
Oh,
the
absolutely.
live service going.
1,000%, yeah.
Um
But
so
I mean, they were also probably sold some fake information on that as well, with how successful the live service model actually was versus how successful it actually is.
so
And
I would
probably is now, again, is a whole different factor again of how it currently is.
yeah, I mean so I think is Destiny as its current model is profitable, extremely profitable, but I think the issue before was that the fact they were funneling that money into other games and weren't
Yeah,
funneling back into Destiny to make it even better. Because
it would have been.
that's how I'm like that's why WoW has been around for so long. Because obviously it makes a shit ton. Again, it makes a shit ton of money. Which if you break it down, it has I think WoW has yearly expand, semi yearly for the main. They actually might be yearly. It's either semi yearly or yearly. I think it's at this point yearly for classic and yearly for the retail. And the Final Fantasies every 2 years. Um, but
Mhm.
pretty much you have which realistically, if you add up the numbers for it, it kind of evens out. Like that you're paying for Destiny 2, like it's that $15 a month subscription plus whatever
Yeah.
the cost of the expansion is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the
So
value of that though is a whole different discussion. But yeah, continue.
yeah. Um, but I think especially with Sony buying it, they're kind. I would imagine they kind of band down the hatch and just be like, hey, you can't you just can't funnel money into other games anymore. Like plain
Yeah.
simple. Because I think there's a Q&A with the marathon head tomorrow. So I'm also curious to see how that goes, especially after today about what happened with the what's happening with the new lawsuit.
What's the new lawsuit?
Oh. Oh, do you not see it? It's fuck, what was it exactly? It has to do something with a poster or a marathon like promo art. Uh
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I saw it. That's not a lawsuit though. That's just a Twitter beef sort of thing. And yes, they've absolutely done that because they steal art all the time. Like they have a habit of doing that. But that's not a lawsuit yet.
yeah.
They'll just settle that, and they'll either rip it out and issue a
Oh
public
wait,
apology
actually
like
wait,
they've done
let's
in the
see.
past, or
Bungie
they'll
is
just pay the person off.
Bungie has issued a statement addressing plagiarism claims for Marathon, confirming the former artists include unauthorized work. Investigation.
Um, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. The way
Ah,
that
okay. So that's what their stance is. A former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet.
yeah,
Ah,
like, don't get me wrong. Still an awful.
the classic. It's not our fault since
They're
like
no longer
the thing is
working
that
here.
doesn't even have to be true just because they've laid off so many people that they can just claim
Yeah,
it that it was.
yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, they normally handle it when they get caught very well, like with the way that they explain it, the way they offer. I've heard that they offer money and that sort of thing to the person, and they remove the art. But I mean, it should never happen in the first place. Like I know it happens all across the industry, but it shouldn't happen anywhere. Like COD got caught for it just recently as well. Um,
Yeah.
but it's still shit that it happens.
Oh
Don't get me
yeah. No,
wrong.
no, it's not great that it happens, but
Yeah, but that at least, and that's, I don't know what COD did. I think COD did the same thing as well, but
yeah,
yeah, they don't take it to court.
yeah, no, you because it's usually just cheaper to pay them, and like the artist is
Yeah,
happy just because it's like
and at the end of the day, you sue an artist for that. You're
yeah.
gonna get 30 cents, and you're still gonna be out legal costs sort of thing. You don't win that.
No, I mean it's very like if you made it and like you've evident like you win, but the issue is like the amount of money that Bungie like or yeah, in this case Bungie would spend on lawyers alone, it just wouldn't be worth their time
Correct, correct.
because they would have to pay for the lawyers, and then if they lost, they'd probably have to pay for all the legal fees plus paying out the artist, which is just way more expensive than just paying the artist. Hey, here's the standard going rate for your art.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say yeah, and if you do win it, and that person was chasing you up a tree with no right to the art or anything like that.
You're kind of
Congratulations, you've sued an artist that is worth 36 cents.
yeah.
You won the court case, but you're not getting anything out of them. They're not paying your legal fees. Legally, are they supposed to? Yes. Were they in reality? Fuck no, because they got no money. Um, But, yeah, no, I'm still very much standing by, and I know that it's an unpopular opinion around these places. I'm still standing by in 5-ish years. Even if we haven't talked in fucking 3 years, I'm still going to message y'all when we get that announcement out about the studio, like what we got an EA one just the other day. That we get an announcement out within the next 5 years about Bungie being absorbed into Sony Studios and ceasing to exist as a name.
The entire issue with that, I just don't think Sony will do it, just because they needed something for their 3.6 billion, and the only thing that they would theoretically be profitable would be Destiny 2 or the Destiny franchise. I don't think Marathon's gonna do well at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. But at the end of the day, it's sunk cost fallacy how much they want to chase their costs, how much Sony wants to chase their costs. And with that Concord game, it was very clear there was no appetite to chase costs back on that. Like, sure, we might see that game released in a different format sometime in the future, but they were very, very clear they weren't just chasing incurring more to chase money back on that one.
So that's a little bit different, because I'd say the Concord was developed in house with Sony. Concord was a weird thing, because on top of it not being advertised super well, they kind of just released it like willy nilly, and then they also just kind of like made it like Overwatch, but then like, yeah, I don't know, Concord I think was just a weird one-off thing.
Yeah,
it's just because it's so odd how. Yeah, I don't know. Concord's just an anomaly, I think.
yeah. But my point still stands on it. Like, at no point was it, let's chuck another $20 million in for advertising and promoting this game and keeping the servers up. It's not, you're fucked up. Game dead.
Yeah, well, because for that, right? There's no history to it. Like, because if they threw another $20 million, it's not. There's no audience they could aspire to reaching out to. While with Destiny, there is.
I don't think that that's true. I think that that game was just, there were a lot of bad decisions made, but I don't think the core of that game was particularly bad. I did, before Marvel Rivals released, I thought that there is zero appetite anymore from hero shooters, and that it was poorly marketed for that. But then Rivals released very successfully, and it's like, yeah, okay. Concord was just marketed incredibly poorly.
Yeah, but like,
if you do it well, you get players playing your game, but they just didn't do it well.
Yeah, but the thing is about that too is that also Marvel Rivals had the Marvel name behind it, which helped it gain popularity. Concord had nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that, so so if you reverse roles, and if it had a major IP behind it, I think they will have thrown more money into it. But the fact that it had nothing going for it and had no history, that's why they didn't throw more money. Now, for Destiny, on the other case, they know that there is a player base for it, so they would throw more money in it. I would think. Marathon, on the other hand, depending on how it releases, I think Marathon is they would be fine with letting it die. Sony would be, just because. I don't think anyone's expecting that game to succeed, especially with Borderlands 3 coming out earlier that month now. Or sorry, at Borderlands 4. And then on top of that, whenever Arc Raiders releases, I think that's gonna take the subset of players that Marathon theoretically would have taken. Because Arc Raiders,
and you say
Arc Raiders doesn't have the aesthetic, but after playing both, Arc Raiders feels like what Marathon was trying to be.
Because it wasn't built on an archaic engine.
Well, that and also in the same time, the devs they had time to do it, and they used their time wisely.
To be fair, they had time to do it, and like the second portion there of they use their time wisely is the big thing because they did have time for marathon. They had plenty of time for
Yeah, they
marathon.
just
Um,
they just
di-
swapped it. Like, because like for example, Arc Raiders. I think when was the first trailer? I think 2021.
yeah,
When was Arc announced? Here we go.
um,
Announced.
yeah.
Oh my! I fucking. All right, so I said I put when was Arc Raiders announced. The first thing that popped up is a Reddit post from a day ago. Just listen. I'll look up the actual thing later, but this is fucking hilarious. Arc Raiders will release tomorrow, May 15th. Here's why I know tomorrow's my birthday, and Embark Studios knows this, and they'd like to make me really. And they know it would make me really sad if I didn't get to play Arc Raiders on my birthday. So I suppose they plan on releasing the game tomorrow. Otherwise, I literally won't
Brilliant.
even play the game when it does release. And everyone told me that they won't play it either. So come and get it. With oh fucking Christ. Oh
Brilliant.
fuck. I'm sorry. I just wasn't expecting that when
Mhm.
when I
um,
actually, you know what? Arc Raiders their YouTube channel probably has it.
yeah.
No, that's June 2023. I think it was before that though. I want to say.
This is no news. Like I put for Destiny, I put off for Bungie in particular. I put the final shape and Witch Queen as the anomalies, and Lightfall Beyond
Ah, there we
Light
go. Oh, sorry.
Shadow Keep as the standard for it. I.e., they're a bit of a talentless studio over the last 5 years that aren't particularly good on their job, but occasionally they seem to nail what they're doing and create a good game. But for the vast majority of the time, they're not very good at what they do.
So my thing about it is that I think they just need more time in between releases to actually make good stuff because like I don't think because that's one of the things they talked about too, and obviously we'll see when Edge of Fate releases if it's hold true or not. But making seasonal content that would always go away even was kind of always just a waste of time. But
Yeah.
they need to do it to sell stuff. But
That was always my opinion as well, that
yeah,
seasonal content was just a waste of money.
yeah, which they kind of said in the live stream, and hopefully, like I said, they haven't really talked about anything that's coming. So we have to see what they say in TWABs and if they release another Vidoc. But um,
Yeah.
yeah. So Arc Raiders was initially announced on December 10th, 2021, and it was supposed to be released in 2022. And when it was originally released, or the trailer was originally released, Embark uh Embark started playtesting it, and they're like, hey, this would be actually pretty sick if it was a PvP game too. So then they scrapped that. Well, they didn't scrap it, but they at that point they pivoted to a extraction shooter, and they announced it being an extraction shooter last year. So they worked
Hmm.
on for in pretty much silence for like 2 years, um,
Hmm.
and then they took the time to actually make a game.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I think Arc Raiders should be a hit, hopefully.
yeah, like I
It
had
looks good.
yeah like that. Honestly, that and oh wait, fuck. 1 second. Let me look this up. When's Summer Games Fest?
Yeah, I have heard in June. I have heard talks of that they're going to drop it because that's
So
what they did with the finals.
you heard it other than me?
Yeah,
Okay.
read it on Twitter or Reddit or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
Yeah, no, that's
It's still just a crackpot person,
yeah,
but
no, but that's currently the going theory
yeah,
that everyone has.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
everyone, because when was when was the last test? Uh, I can't really get anything. Whatever. So this would be super fucked. So Summer Games Fest is June 6th.
Yeah, that's from
Early access for Dune is June 5th. If by some fucked up reason they release on June 6th, I'm gonna cry.
Both.
Because I'm gonna end up playing both. But it's just like it's gonna be the complete opposite to what I am right now, where I'm kind of just like there's not really any games that want
In a
to
bit
like
of a gaming rut.
yeah. But the fact that pretty much I'm in gaming rut until the 22nd, which is when Splitgate 2 comes out. And honestly, I think Splitgate 2 is
May or June?
well
Of May or June?
May.
May. Okay.
So it comes out a week from yesterday, or
Yeah, okay.
so it comes out Thursday actually.
That's cool.
Friday for you. But they have you seen the trailer that they put out for their custom map editor, where people or
No, I
map
haven't.
creator? Was that yes or no?
It's just like I haven't. No, it's just like
It's
Forge. Okay.
it's exact. It looks like Forge but better. Let me see if I can grab the trailer.
Not at all being a creative person. I was never much of a Forge person.
So I never really made stuff on Forge, but the thing was playing the custom maps that people
Oh,
made
yeah,
on
yeah.
Forge was always super fun
Yeah.
doing it with friends.
I get you. I mean, Halo Infinite eventually nailed Forge, sort of thing. Like that's in a real, like that game is in a perfectly good spot, except the fact that it's got like 4
Yeah.
people.
There's
playing it.
that's the trailer. It's a minute and a half.
Yeah, no, that game will be good. I hope it sticks around.
Are you watching it?
No, I'm not. No, I'll
Oh.
look at it later. As I said, I don't care too much for it'll be whether that game it'll be whether the game stays relevant and popular or not will be the big thing. Because
The
PvP.
Yeah, the only reason the first one didn't stay relevant was because they straight up said, "Hey, and because obviously it was everyone that played it liked the game, but it was the fact that when the first game was made, it was made by like 3 like college students or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, we weren't expecting this, so we're gonna kind of slow down on this and make a whole new game for you guys."
Mhm.
That's why the first game kind of lost popularity.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless of popularity, or not regardless of what happens in the dev cycle, um, the the game's got to remain popular enough across the board in order to be able to find and play a good quality match in it whenever you want to load it up.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest struggle that I've seen talked about all of the non like COD shooters sort of thing lately. Um, like if you want to play Battlefield, can you load Battlefield up and get a match? No, you've got to go through server browse and you've got to do all of that in order to find a good match.
Rest in peace, BattleBit.
Rest in peace, BattleBit. Yeah, likewise.
Well, it's
likewise.
because again, Balbit did this is either did the same thing or they kind of just dropped the game and didn't tell anyone. But they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this major update.
They did, didn't they?
No, they never released it. Like,
oh, they never released it.
The last, let's see, the last dev update that anyone made was November 28th of 2024, and it was showing the updated map.
Okay. Yeah,
or an updated map.
Yeah.
And then ever
Not
since
that I-
then, let's
Not
see.
that I agree majority of the time that sweats ruin games, but just dropped my mouse, in that particular game where it was almost like a social game.
Yeah.
the people running around playing at like $1 million tournament, which there seem to be so many of, made that game very unfun to play quickly. All you needed was one or two of them in a lobby, and it ruined everyone's fun.
Eh.
Like, I get that it was a first-person shooter and that sort of thing. It's the same with Battlefield too. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a special dislike for most Battlefield games because of the way that it plays and that. But
I can't wait for Battlefield 6.
it's going to be so shit.
Will I pre-order it and not learn my lesson? Yes, yes, I
Yes.
will.
Yeah, I mean, you look, what was the game X Defiant? So, sort of thing, that game very quickly went from, hey, this game's a neat, cool concept to, god damn, is there 6 people playing this game? This
Well,
fucking
it's
sucks.
like the thing with X Defiant, it's weird because like they started out with one very popular faction of uh from the Ubisoft universe, and then the last 3 factions they ever released were like the most popular. It was the Assassin's Creed, it was Splinter Cell, I think. There's one other one. Well, like, yeah, I don't know. That's because I think the one of the reasons that failed was because it was so hyped up by the devs themselves, and it wasn't kind of followed through.
Yeah, but I mean, the game doesn't have to properly fail to begin the inklings of failure, sort of thing. Like, all you need is to not be able to get a good quality game in there, and it's done.
Yeah, but that's true. But the issue I don't think span from the good quality games. The issue span
Well,
from
you guys have said that that's the reason that you stopped playing Rivals, and is that not the reason why you stopped playing CS? Because you can't
uh,
find a good quality match.
no CS. I stopped playing because it took like 5 minutes to find a match, but also the main thing was um the cheaters.
But literally, the definition of you couldn't find a good quality match.
But I was able to find a good quality. Like it was fun up until that point. So it was like it's for us, but
Yep.
also it was only like 2 or 3 of them. But that was enough to make me stop playing.
Yep.
Um,
But I mean, like
and then
Halo Infinite, I could join Halo
Rivals
Infinite on a
is
brand new account and have 2 or 3 fun matches before I get put in fucking Elo hell. With it,
but
same as Destiny.
the thing is it's different. If it was Elo Hell, I would be fine with it. But mine were straight up spin bots.
There's different reasons for bad quality matches. Elo Hell being one of them.
Yeah, but at least for me, if Elo, as long as I'm getting better, I don't mind playing it per se. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm a little bit
And then
opposite of that opinion, and I think that that's due to small player populations and geography. Like, traditionally with games, if you're in Elo Hell, with it when you're put up that high bracket of matchmate SBMM and stuff like that, you're not going to find a game quickly, and it's going to be laggy as all hell. So yeah, I could get better because I'm playing against really good players that are of my skill level, but I'm also much more likely to get frustrated because I'm waiting 7 or 8 minutes minimum for a match, and I can't hit shit because they're from fucking India.
yeah, but I mean that at least for me, that was kind of my thing with COD is that when I was play COD like in like middle school and high school and stuff, it was kind of like, hey, it's either uh get good or you're just gonna get shit on.
That's not the case anymore.
So um but no,
Um,
the the main reason for Rivals we stopped playing is because they fucked up the rating changes.
What do you mean?
So like
Everyone going down -9 or whatever it was, or 16.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if that's so. I mean, I guess that it wasn't even that. It's just the point wise, the points you'd get for each of the matches.
Yeah.
Because like it came out the DPSs were getting like obscene more amount on certain ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Then like so it was kind of like it'll just make it so it'll take longer for you to climb. Um
Yeah.
so hopefully they fix that with the whatever, which it seems like they probably will.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, and also on top of that, for like competitive games like that, it's I usually go on breaks every so often. Like it's because like at a certain point, it's the only thing that to do on them is kind of just to grind rank, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which sometimes when you're in the mood, it's fine, it's fun, but like other times you kind of just want to play games for other reasons than.
Yeah. 100%.
So I won't really attribute that to the quality of matches.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not necessarily rivals, and like I'm not saying that game's dead, but I mean there's many others that are dead because of poor quality matches. Um, many other examples.
Up, 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 up.
Like, my opinion on CS is that game is the biggest scam known to mankind. So, um,
So
which Connor's come
the
over to
thing about
agree with.
CS, I just don't understand where all the players are. Like if they're actual bots or if they're.
So this is based off of, I want you to know, with me, how stuff like that, where I had the Steam charts up, and when I was arguing with Connor
One second, I'm getting
week
shot.
about that.
All right, sorry. What?
Yeah, so how normally I bring data and receipts and evidence and things like that to make my claims, and
Yeah.
that my comments on CS are purely vibe based alone. I have no evidence to support any of this decision, so it's vibes alone.
So
But yes, I would absolutely say it's all bots put across there for things like money laundering and moving around of money through skins and stuff like that.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. At this point, just based off vibes, I would probably agree to a certain extent because like it took us like fucking with a game with a million plus players, it should not take more than like 30 seconds to find a comp
Current
match.
players as well,
Yeah.
mind you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to find a match on the most popular CS map of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was taking us 5 minutes, and it would not even end up putting us on that map either. But the issue with CS is that it's more focused on skins, and they haven't released an actual content update in years.
Yeah, okay.
The same thing Valorant's kind of going through right now is that it's people are starting to realize like, hey, why they aren't updating the game? They're just putting more and more skin packs in.
Gotta make money.
Yeah, and then I'll still say Valorant obviously isn't a dead game by any means, but
No, absolutely not. What was I going to say? Yeah, whereas I would say based on from vibes
yeah, no,
alone,
vibes
what you guys would-
100%. Vibes 100%. I don't have any numbers to back it up either, but vibes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't understand
Well,
what's going on in that game.
yeah, I mean, if you if you can't trust the numbers, there's nothing that you can do because the numbers indicate otherwise. Sort of
What
thing. That it's a very healthy game, but the vibe alone doesn't
is
indicate that.
yeah, it does not pass the vibe check. What I will be curious of is when Deadlock launches, though.
Yeah. Yep. Fair.
Because Gaben has a hard on for MOBAs.
Hmm.
Because that's the thing, like for Dota 2, like he always always talked about it and logged it. I don't think he also made a special message for a Dota 2 championship, I think.
Hmm.
But I don't think he's ever actually gone to a CS one.
You okay?
How did I drop it, dude? Ow.
Oh yeah, Deadlock will definitely be popular.
Yeah.
But I
'Cause
mean,
you
there's differing degrees of popular sort of thing. There's like League popularity versus like Destiny popularity, for
I
example, or something like
I
that.
honestly think Deadlock has the potential of being League popular.
All games always have potential. Like everybody said that about that X Defiant. That was that had the potential to be the COD killer because it was basically COD without the bad bits, is what it was advertised as, and what all of the hype was around on it. So every game's got the potential. It's whether it realizes it. Like I completely agree that Deadlock absolutely could be as popular as
Like
League.
honestly, yeah. X Defiant, like I had hope for it, but I never actually. It kind of just seemed like based on how far they were pushing it off, that the execution
Yeah,
was never going to happen.
of course. But I mean, Destiny's the biggest. IMO is the biggest case of potential versus reality that I can ever think of in gaming. Like that game could have been so much. That could have been the game of all games of all time, but it never was. Like think about how often do we say, how great would it be if you could make this minor change or this minor change to this activity? And then they're like, well, we killed the activity. Hope you don't mind. And it's like, well, no, it wasn't
Yeah,
bad. You didn't need to actually do that. You could have just done this. It's like, no, get rid of it.
yeah. So I was
Um,
that's the thing with, like I said, that for Edge of Fate, that's I think what they're aiming for to make it more sustainable. But until we see it, we can't
mm-hmm,
really say much.
mm-hmm.
But I was you saw Deadlock's newest update though, right?
Yeah, I did where they're redoing a bunch of the character models and stuff like that, and a bunch of the city model and that sort of thing.
Well, they redid the entire map by now.
Yeah.
And then the major update was they redid the entire shop. Um,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
added new artwork, and then on top of that, they also uh added new items to the shop and reworked a shit ton of them.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't think that, like, I just didn't like the, fuck, MOBA aspects of
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
like
that's
the
fair.
hero shooter aspects of it. Didn't enjoy the MOBA aspects of it. They were dumb. I should feel it bad.
That's fair. Again, it's every
Yeah,
game's not
works
made
their
for
own.
anyone.
Exactly right. Because, yeah, Rive was very much reinforced. I enjoy hero shooters. Hero shooters are a lot of fun. And those bits with the MOBA that made it a MOBA, took it away from being a hero shooter genre, was what I didn't like.
Yeah, yeah. That's also the reason why I think it has a lot more potential than other games. That no other game really has tried to do a MOBA FPS game yet.
Yeah,
So if it's executed well, it would bring people in just because it's the FPS and like new people in just for the FPS, and it would be bring people in that like MOBAs.
yeah. But I mean, once again, it is in regards to that sort of thing. And like Valve's got the cash, for it.
Oh yeah,
It's a
Val. Oh,
big risk.
oh.
Um,
No, it's not even a
it's
big
a
risk for them.
Not for Valve, it's not.
Yeah.
For other people, for other companies, it
Oh
absolutely is. Other
yeah,
companies
yeah, 100%.
that are barely making a buck. It's a big call to go up against an absolute Goliath like Dota and League and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Very well established, very loyal player bases in that. Um,
Honestly, I think
it's a
at this
big call
point,
to invest
league players are kind of
in.
league players are having issues with Riot and the monetization too.
Yeah, but it's kind
Because
of like a bit like some games. League's my favorite game. I hate it. Um, if you're still playing League at this stage, you're going to play League for the rest of your life.
yeah, I guess that's fair. I say, honestly, I would probably say almost same with Destiny.
Mm,
Like if
just-
well, I would say if you're playing Destiny after Edge of Fate, you're probably gonna keep playing it for a while.
yeah, agree. Um, like, I mean, I would sit there happily and grind PvP out for days and days and days on end if I could find a fucking match.
Yeah. I just wish they showed off more during the reveal, but
Yeah. Um,
alright, so that's getting upgraded. My High's getting upgraded. Bada bing, bada boom.
it's, uh, I don't know. Like, I don't want the I don't want the game to. I want Marathon to die. Um, like, I feel like Marathon's been one of those big things that's robbed us of so much destiny.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Yeah, that I think that they're taking it to heart because the fact that all future event passes are going to be free
Yeah.
kind of seems
Yeah.
like that. At least to me, that seems like there's
It's
they might be squeezing less, try and squeeze less money from people
yeah.
because albeit either Sony or Bungie leadership said, I know for a fact it wasn't Bungie leadership, but Sony's like, hey, you gotta, you can't keep using this Destiny, your profitable IP, to fund one that might not break even.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that the event passes being free ongoing is a great change and everything like that for goodwill wise and
Yeah.
everything like that. However, it's a steep road back for goodwill and
Oh
everything
yeah.
like that. Like, those things do all add up and like they add up for active players and to bring players
Yeah.
back and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
personally, I don't give two shits about it because I never bought them in the past.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm just saying it seems like a step in the right direction, and as long as they don't take two steps back afterwards, then
which is the classic Bungie.
yeah.
But yes.
Like the fact that another fact is, even though it's not perfect for what they would have done for the what we would have liked them to do for Ray of the Nine, the fact that they actually listened and actually made some sort of
Brought it
adjustment.
forward. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. While in the past we've people have made complaints and they're just like, oh, that's wild. Anyway,
Yeah, that was that stupid hippie girl on Twitter that would just block everyone.
yeah.
God, I'm glad she's gone. Um, yeah, and like all of these things do add up to build good player,
Retention.
whatever you call them. Partly retention, partly sentiment. That's the word that I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for. Good player sentiment. Because right now, I would say at least in my mind, I can't think of many studios with worse player sentiment right now. Like, it's only over the last 12-ish months, 10 months, 11 months. It's only been bad news for Bungie with player sentiment and goodwill wise.
Yeah. But yeah, well, like I said, we'll see about what Edge of Fate.
Yeah. But more importantly, Edge of Fate.
Oh my! They started blurring her feet in promo
I
pics.
saw that. I saw it as
Which
cut short about that.
I'm not gonna lie, like I can't be too disappointed since